I'm Anne from Game Like a Mother. Today I'm going to show you how to play Magic Maze Kids. It's ages 5 and up, 2 to 4 players, and it takes 15 minutes. Let me show you how to play. The goal of the game is to work cooperatively to move your 4 heroes, the tall pieces out here. You have a knight, wizard, prince, and princess, and move them to collect magical ingredients to fill your different mission cards. And then when you've completed the correct amount, you get to change the king back into a lion. You do not start with board D. There's a letter on the bottom of each board. You are given 4, and you start with board A. And they have tutorials in the rule book, and you start on the back side of board A, and they give you nice practice missions to practice different elements of how the game works. For instance, each player in a 4-player game is given just one of these direction tokens, and that is the only direction they are able to move a character. So if someone, you would have to have this person be able to move the prince over, and then this person would be able to move him this direction. This player would get to move them over in order to move the characters, and then this person can move him here. In a 2-player game, you were supposed to be given opposite directions, so you'd either have up, down, and east and west, but you wouldn't have a mix of them. And if you're playing 3-player, then the same thing would apply. You could have another person up here with this direction, somebody with this direction, and then the other player would have up, down. So you work through these early missions, and then you get to practice, and you're supposed to do 3 different mission cards to practice through what you've practiced on the reverse side of the board, and then they increase the elements each time. So B, when you're practicing B, they show how to collect items, either by moving to the spot on the board or by bringing 2 characters together can collect an item as well. And then they incorporate some of the powers that the specific heroes have as well once you get to different boards. And then again, you practice. There's specific practice missions for board A, and then B, C, and D all share the same missions. You can talk during this game, and there is no timer involved until you get to board D. Game setup for the final board, board D. First, you put the king frog side up, and you shuffle together the mission cards. Select 3, and you place them on top of the king and put the others off to the side for this round of play. We're saying this is a 2-player game, so each player is given 2 of the direction tiles. You need to make sure that they are matched up with north on the board, and the cards all point that way as well. And just remember that one is given north and south, the other is given east and west, and I'm going to have this hand be this player and this hand be this player for demonstrating purposes for this game. You put all of the ingredients off to the side by the cauldron. You start the timer on the flag timer spot, and you have the timer. And so how you flip the timer for this game, which we did not find necessary until we added additional challenges, or when you're playing with more people, it actually makes it a little more difficult. If you have a creature run into the timer, then the timer, if it has been running and it was almost out, if it was like this and almost out, if the person runs into it, then you flip the timer, and this moves on to the next spot, and you can move it and move another character onto it and flip it again if you're running low on time. So that's how that works. You put all of the creatures onto, they have specific start spots for all of them on the board. And then the heroes you can place wherever you like. You should know about hero powers before you play. They have a little card with information about, just a quick reminder about which each power is that the heroes have. It's pretty simple. The prince can jump over a single creature. He couldn't do it if these were together, and if he were over here, he couldn't jump over two of them, but he can jump over one, and they cover that in the tutorial, so you've practiced before you get to this round. The princess can swim, and so if you move her down here, and if this goes back and forth between the two spots, that's what this creature does. If you don't want to bother moving that, you can just have her swim across a single spot of water, as long as there's a spot on the other side. She can't go for a long swim and then come over here. She can swim across, and it has to be the correct person moving them across using their special power. This person wouldn't have been able to move her. It had to be this person because that was the direction she was moving. Then you have the knight has special paths that are pretty clear, are just for the knight. And again, the correct character has to move them. And then finally, you have the wizard can go over here. You can move the creatures, but only within their colored zone. And if you move through here, the special purple, again, it's pretty clear, then you come out on the other side. All right, I've reset the board. Again, you can start these characters in any spot that you wish. It really doesn't matter, but I usually like to have them spread out to start. Seems fair. And what you do is, when you're ready, you flip over the timer, and then you flip over the top card, and you can start moving characters around. In the some of the earlier practice levels, you have to do collect the ingredients in the order on the card, but by the time you get to board D, they allow you to do it in whatever order you like. So we're going to go ahead and move the knight over to collect the bat poop first, because that seems easy enough. And when you collect an item, they have you just put it on top of the card at first. And once you have everything, then you put it into the cauldron. For this one, there are certain items that you get when you have two characters meet. Oh, and that wasn't even necessary to move him. So I'm going to move him back because the prince can just hop on over him to go over and to meet the princess. And you get another ingredient. And I'm going to do this because they're all pretty easy for this round. And the wizard collected the spider web, and you've completed a card. You put the items into the cauldron and flip over the next card, and you continue to do this. If you happen to already have somebody on the, if these two had met up over here and the princess had happened to be on the spot, if she's there to begin the turn, then you would just get that item to begin with. You are just lucky. And on that note, you never put these on the actual board because then you would have to restock while you're playing, and it's awkward if you're trying to slide across a spot and there's an item on it. So it's just off to the side, and when you collect it, you get to put it on the card and then into the cauldron. So once you've collected all of the ingredients on all three cards and you get to this spot, then you would flip over to being back at the lion, and you have won the game. I would like to point out that any time that we've played with just 3 of the mission cards for on board D, we have finished well within the time requirement on the board and never needed to move the timer to the next spot. They have suggestions of ways to increase the difficulty of the game on the back of the rules, like not being able to talk while you're playing, adding in more of these mission cards, or trading after each of these mission cards the directions of the tiles that you're playing with, which can all add difficulty and fun to the game. So that's how to play Magic Maze Kids. The game itself is very fun, and the process to learn how to play is so fun as well. So check it out. Thanks, and see you next time from Game Like a Mother.